Thank you very much. I also want to thank my Iowa senior advisor. The publication said Trump still has really high approval ratings with the Republican voter base, is defeating Ron DeSantis in poll after poll by a lot, and I'm beating Joe Biden by a lot, very importantly. So
I would like to see there be openness. I'd like there to be balanced approach to the law, that everybody is treated the same and not differential, because the conservatives, Republicans, they say, well, look at the politicization of the federal bureaucracy, the FBI and the Department of Justice. There's no equality there. You know, why are we moving along with the Hunter Biden laptop? We're not, but there seems to be an imbalance of equity. We have a number of people who hate Trump and hate him fiercely, and a driving factor is because he surprised them in 2016 and he won, and he did some good things, but he'll never be recognized as such. And so we have people that just want to use emotion, fear, anger to get into a position that they think is right, and it's not right.
My thought is, coming from a law enforcement family, the law is the law. If you break the law, if you do something that is against regulations, you need to be held accountable. It's what our civilized society is founded upon.
If he did use campaign funds, he should be punished for it, and if he didn't, then there's nothing that can really be done. But yeah, if he used money that was said to be for one thing and used it for his paying off Stormy Daniels, then he should be punished for it and indicted. But if not, then nothing can really be done, I guess, and it's more slander on him, I suppose.
Like, he should be careful when he used the term protest. We don't need another capital attack. Even though I'm his supporter, but I think this term should be used wisely because it could bring some chaos. That's my opinion.
Really, underneath all those words, he's just basically saying, raise hell. Can I say hell? Raise hell. And then they're going to look through those words and dissect them and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to raise hell and I'm going to fight for him because he's our leader and he needs to be defended. That's what I think.
Well, I think it's unlikely that the protest would escalate until another riot, as we saw in January 6th. I feel like there's a much more bipartisan agreement that storming the Capitol, more violent insurrection, would not happen. But again, it is anyone's guess at this point. But to emphasize, I don't think this would be that much of a headline news as it would be compared to 2020. Donald Trump is no longer the president, and he is losing some influence across the Republican Party. We saw this in the midterms. If anything does happen, it would not be on a scale that we have seen before.
I'm a supporter, but I don't think that anyone should say or tell their supporters to riot or to do anything. I think it's something that the supporters should do based on their actions and based on what they believe or think. And I think that goes with everything, not just Trump. I mean, with every political figure, with every political party. But trying to rile up your supporters, it's a weak message that you send. You should. These people should come out to you. You shouldn't call for them, and it causes more chaos. If everybody would do this, then we'd have riots every day, and it's just chaos, to be honest.
So for years,
Mr.
Cohen has acted like he is above the law. So for years, Mr. Cohen has acted like he is above the law.
This is historic in every respect, in the sense that no American president, current, sitting, or former president, has ever been criminally indicted. The reason that this is a big deal, even if the charge itself is not certainly the most severe of the charges that Donald Trump might eventually face, is that if in fact this happens this week, that the former president of the United States is criminally indicted, it will be the first time it's ever happened. And love or loathe Donald Trump, it's a sad day for America, albeit potentially a valuable lesson in terms of the rule of law.
Ensuring that when a Manhattanite hands over money for a particular purpose, that they know where it's going and that it actually goes.
Whatever the ultimate charge is, essentially what the district attorney seems to be looking at is that former President Trump, through his attorney, Michael Cohen, paid hush money to the tune of $130,000 to Stormy Daniels in order to keep her quiet in the waning days and the final days and the stretch run of the 2016 presidential election. Now, that in itself wouldn't be the level of a crime that the DA seems to be likely to charge here, but what makes it especially and potentially criminal is that when he paid her in this way, if in fact that's what happened, he then wrote off that expense as legal expenses, when in fact that would be essentially a contribution, a significant contribution, and not a legal expense by any stretch of the imagination. And so
this is not revenge, right? What this is about accountability. I don't want to see any.
Because we live in an era, and look, in which the fact that the former president may or may not have had an affair with an adult film star is not really the kind of story or charge that in itself will resonate with the American people the way it might have many years ago, even when you take into account the hush money payment. But let's be clear. Donald Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen, was sentenced to multiple years in prison on charges arising out of the exact same fact pattern. And he spent over a year in incarceration and was given house arrest, early release house arrest due to the COVID pandemic. So this, much like what has happened in the wake of January 6th and the insurrection and the attack on the Capitol, this would be the first time that the former president, as opposed to one of his foot soldiers, actually has to face the music and face real consequences for actions that he allegedly was directly involved in.
Both Senator Clinton and Senator Obama are very good candidates. For me, what we're fighting for is not just the nomination or for the presidency. We're fighting to bring about change and to stand up to
former Senator Edwards, who was, of course, a vice presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, was brought on federal charges relating to campaign finance expenditures that he allegedly paid to a former mistress of his with whom he had an ongoing affair, and she had been involved in the campaign as a kind of videographer for a time. And of course, that was something that former senator and vice presidential candidate Edwards wanted to keep under wraps. His wife at the time was struggling with cancer. The Department of Justice actually took that case to trial. There were multiple counts involved. Senator Edwards was acquitted on one count, and the jury was deadlocked on the other counts in the Department of Justice. But I think that the district attorney, if and when they do go forward with the indictment, let's say it's Tuesday, then Alvin Bragg will be free to speak, and he'll be free to release the indictment, and we'll get a better sense of exactly how it is that the district attorney is pursuing these charges. And of course, that only raises the question, is this really the curtain raiser for other prosecutions around the country? Because the former president is facing charges potentially in Georgia arising out of the call to the Secretary of State. Special counsel Jack Smith and the Department of Justice are evaluating and investigating events relating to January 6th. And there's the classified documents inquiry as well. So this could be the first of multiple criminal proceedings, and the former president is also facing a civil trial resulting or arising out of an alleged sexual harassment and sexual assault case from E. Jean Carroll.